Hey everyone, so it has been a good minute since we have covered the community's reaction to a Treyarch game on this channel, but the day has finally come to Black Ops 4. This might single-handedly be the most content-heavy reactions and everything in one video that I have ever done, so I'm just gonna cut right to the chase and see how the community reacted to... Alright, so Black Ops 4 had the extremely daunting task of living up to the hype, expectations, and overall quality presented within the Black Ops 3 experience in almost every single aspect. Excluding the campaign, the Black Ops 3 experience at the time was regarded as one of the best in the series, and combined with the fact that people had to wait a whole 3 years for this game to eventually come out, people were hungry for that Treyarch experience, especially within the zombies mode. But I am getting a little ahead of myself. The previous Call of Duty World War II generally did not live up to the hype seen at its launch, as with its marketing being propaganda towards a return of old Call of Duty, people felt as if the game was spiraling into way too many directions and needed a base point to establish itself once again. And well, that would come with Black Ops 4, as apparently even the developers noticed this and decided to capitalize on the excessive want for a new Treyarch title with a teaser for the game dropping a month and a half after the release of World War II's second DLC. And my goodness, the positivity and overwhelming excitement was literally through the roof. I saw endless comments of people saying how they were so excited for the game. And guys, just for some context, this teaser was literally a 33-second long video of old Call of Duty trailers overlaid onto the Black Ops 4 logo, and yet still people were absolutely freaking out over the idea that this game even existed. If that does not tell you enough as to how people felt about the game, I have no idea what will. But at the end of this trailer, there was an important note that mentioned that the community reveal event would be taking place nearly 2 months later on May 17th, and this led people to absolute insanity and excitement, going up to the game even more with the thought of a reveal coming so soon. When it was time for this reveal event, it was safe to say that the turnout was absolutely not disappointing for Call of Duty whatsoever, as despite the fact that in-person attendance wasn't extraordinary by any means, as there was about 750 to 1,000 people, the live stream showing off this reveal would be single-handedly the most watched game reveal in Call of Duty history, with only Black Ops 6 passing it up just recently, I believe. Additionally, it would be #1 on trending for Twitter pages worldwide, so the real question is, what content was revealed? Well, besides the boring multiplayer and campaign stuff, for the first time ever, zombies actually got its own section of this reveal event, and who else but Jason Blundell would step up to the mic and talk about the mode in the game. There was nothing but positives that was said during the entire 8-minute Zombies got its own time, including the introduction of custom mutations, a new way to play zombies that would allow you to customize literally everything in a match, callings, and never before seen looks at 2 of the 3 launch maps, 9 and Voyage of Despair. However, easily the most hype portion of this event came with the unexpected reveal of Blood of the Dead, the Mob of the Dead remaster people had been practically begging for ever since the release of Chronicles and Black Ops 3 Zombies, and yeah, just take a look for yourself. As you can clearly see, people went berserk at the release of this information, and I mean honestly, who couldn't? This easily was the most content people were getting from a zombies mode at its launch. I mean, like, seriously, 3 maps is insane. Under numerous recap Reddit posts, I did see a lot of excitement for the new crew as well, as with the Chaos crew, people found that Shaw and Scarlet seemed to be extremely interesting characters with interesting backgrounds, with this guy even saying that Shaw reminded him of Richtofen. I even saw this comment that said that he was Richtofen's grandfather, which, yeah, definitely is not true. Anyways, what you need to know is that the information presented at this reveal event, while grandiose, actually was not all that was to come for the content in the game, and realistically, people were just getting started. A couple months later, in the October of 2018, some zombies YouTubers such as Mr. Rafflewaffles, NoJ456, and Mr. T Lexify were flown out to Treyarch Studios to play every single one of the launch maps early before anyone had access to it only a couple days early. And once again, the hype was literally through the roof. I mean, literally just look at this first gameplay by Milo. He literally was just giddy standing in the spawn room for the first time, which, mind you, had literally no connection to the original Mob of the Dead at all. Oh, and I also just wanted to point this out, but like MC Sporthawk, who was another YouTuber, was just in the background tweaking out of pure excitement, and I mean, like, that has to mean something. But they didn't just get to play this early, they got to play every single map the game had to offer, even the secret 4th launch map that had not even been revealed until these guys got to play it early, which was just genuinely insane to see. But really quick, this doesn't really relate to the video all that much, but let me just point out how in touch Jason Blundell was with the community at this moment in time. Like, Jason was literally in the room for some of the games they were playing and actually sitting down and having discussions with some of the YouTubers there, and that is just something that we don't get nowadays, unfortunately. While Black Ops 7 is heading in the right direction with these dev talks, it would be really nice to have some one-on-one interaction, even if it is only with the bigger YouTubers, to ensure that the developers stay in the loop. Anyways, obviously the reaction in every single one of the comment sections for these videos were once again going completely insane. So many people were saying how the game was looking good and that the graphics were extremely impressive, and it is safe to say that the hype literally could not have been any higher. There were YouTubers quite literally posting like 7 or 8 times a day. It was genuinely insane for the zombies community, and of course under each and every one was even more positivity. So it is important to know that this game, if it wasn't clear enough, was being held to quite literally the highest standard possible. However, there was an underlying problem that was only brought to light slightly by a couple YouTubers who played the game early. One of which was Mr. T Lexify, who brought up in a video about his time there that the game was extremely buggy and that certain aspects of it didn't seem to play right while they were at Treyarch. Additionally, there were people getting fired from Treyarch left and right, one of which being an Easter egg QA tester who actually started to leak some of the Easter egg steps early before the map even came out to the public. This was a telltale sign, and although many people didn't know it at the time, this would be extremely consequential moving forward. But finally, on October 12th, 2018, the big day would happen. All of the launch maps would release, and it was go time. Everybody immediately was overwhelmed with content, as since there was a total of 4 launch maps, each with their own Easter egg, people didn't know what Easter egg to go for first, and all kind of scrambled around for worlds first. So people got on, played, and then no, oh god, no. Remember the issues I mentioned were brought up in kind of a side comment by some YouTubers? Yeah, they were present here and bumped up to 1 million. Numerous crashes across all platforms was devastating a number of high round games, casual games, and more importantly, Easter egg runs that would see almost everyone crashing while playing their games seemingly at random intervals. The term blue screen became taboo in the zombies community at this time, essentially meant to represent the crashes that would happen on PlayStation 4, as it would take you to this screen. It literally did not matter what map you turned to, they were all devastated by this, but I did still want to look into how people reacted to each map outside of this, but the crashes are an extremely important piece of how people generally reacted, so keep that in mind. The first map I'll cover is Voyage of Despair, which initially was received with extreme praise under its YouTube trailer for its epic nature and just super cool setting with the Titanic. Initially though, with the release of this map, people were generally just not happy with it. I saw people such as 8 who was saying that he thought the map design was just not fun at all, and this guy who said that the map was essentially wasted potential. This idea of wasted potential was seen in a lot of places that I saw. People just seemed like the tragedy of what the sinking of the Titanic was just was not capitalized on in the map enough, which I actually still completely agree with nowadays. However, it seemed like with time, this map started to grow on people once they learned the layout, with people such as Rizzo saying that he actually really began to like the map more with more attempts, and this deleted comment that says that everyone was hating on it but that he actually liked it. Overall though, compared to other launch maps, Voyage of Despair kind of fell into the curse of Shadows of Evil in the sense that the map was too complex for a wider audience, but conversely this map never evolved to the love Shadows of Evil receives now, and I personally think that is okay. But let's talk about 9, because this one was the map Voyage of Despair was mainly being compared to. Being the other Chaos map in the launch of the game, 9 seemed to just have a lot more popularity than Voyage of Despair because, as stated by a deleted comment on Reddit, the map was just easy to navigate and had an easy access to the pack-a-punch. Because of this overall simplicity, people were loving this so much more than Voyage of Despair. I saw posts like this that said 9 was a 10 out of 10 map, and this one that said 9 was the best map in Black Ops 4 Zombies. People really just seem to love this map, and who couldn't? I mean, the map is set in a gigantic gladiator arena with fire and cool zombie types, and even this guy guy pointed out that the crowd in the map that cheers you on was one of his favorite parts of the mode. Unfortunately, however, the negatives were still here, especially when talking about one of the worst balancing issues, the tigers. As pointed out by this comment, the tigers on the launch of this map were insanely overpowered, essentially being able to take the player down with one singular hit, which decimated people's opinions of this map firsthand. But besides that, I didn't see many negatives, so I would say that even though we haven't gotten to the other maps yet, people thought this was the best launch map. But then comes the most well-known and easily the most anticipated, and well, this one would unfortunately suffer the consequences of the crashes more than any other map. Blood of the Dead was a very polarizing map. At first, people loved it because they were going back to Alcatraz to relive the memories of Mob of the Dead, but when the nostalgia cleared, people felt like the map was left with, well, nothing. This was said in this comment that said that the map felt like there was just too much empty space, saying how Mob of the Dead was much better at this issue specifically. It even got to the point where I saw people saying that Blood of the Dead was the worst map in Black Ops 4, which was just insane because, mind you, this was supposed to be the best map in the game. I did see some comments though saying that the map was good through a gameplay experience perspective, so there were some positives. However, the thing out of the whole map that got the most positivity was most certainly the end cutscene for the map, which actually got to the point where it moved some people to tears because of the emotional weight it held. I saw people such as Raya who was saying that they got straight up chills from the cutscene, and honestly, I did too. It was a fantastic way to end the map and one of the hardest Easter eggs of all time. But that leads us into Classified, the outcast of the group, as you had to pay money to access this map, and while the reaction was a little mixed. I saw some comments like this one that said that he thought Classified was an amazing map, and this one that said it was the best map in the game. Unfortunately, however, the biggest problem that plagued this map was once again the crashes, and this one was quite literally unavoidable because of the fact that you had to get to round 150 for the Easter egg, which was just not possible at the launch of the game because of the crashes. Noah J456 did get it, but he literally had to use glitches to achieve it, which is just the unfortunate reality because this map deserved a whole quest like what is said in this comment. People just did not like this Easter egg whatsoever. In fact, people were furious at it because of how much time they sunk into hunting for one, and it was just an unfortunate situation. But that was the launch of the game all at once, and although there were some small victories, the hype and large expectations that had been built up had not been lived up to, and the unfortunate reality is that it seemed things would only go downhill from here. Obviously, the launch of Black Ops 4 was not what the developers had hoped. However, despite this, they still had to have some maps in development during this time to ensure that they would keep a steady release cycle throughout the game. And they did, as with the release of a trailer for... wait, hold on. Yeah, so there was actually no trailer for the new map before it released. In fact, there was quite literally zero marketing for this map before it even came out. I literally have no idea what Treyarch were thinking with this, and it is truly unfortunate because the reaction to the map suffered because of it. Dead of the Night would officially be released on December 11th, and with it, a complete misinterpretation of what the community was begging of the developers ever since the launch of the game. This map was extremely complex. It had a total of 28 parts that could be picked up all around the map, which would total to literally hundreds of locations. This was reflected on in this deleted comment that said that he liked the overall aesthetic of the map, but had problems when it came to the amount of parts that would ultimately feel like a chore. Additionally, I saw this comment that was complaining about the vampires that were exclusive to this map and how they would just activate a dying wish almost instantly, which was of course annoying. But honestly, for the people that stayed after the horrific launch, I found that they actually enjoyed the map pretty well and really only had a couple problems here or there. Like this guy who said that he loved the map but had a problem with the Pack-a-Punch quest, and this dude who said he had a problem with the vampires. But overall, community sentiment surrounding the map itself was not too terrible, although there were certainly glaring issues, and for a map that got zero marketing before its release, it didn't do too bad. That leads us into Ancient Evil, an absolute stellar map in my opinion by the way, and this map actually was a slight improvement on the marketing side because it actually got a trailer before the map came out, believe it or not. But under the trailer, I actually saw a lot, and I mean a lot of people just reminiscing on the old days of zombies, saying things like, remember when you would just hop on zombies and get to round 10, or other comments like that. If it hasn't become abundantly clear at this point, people really just did not like how complex the maps were in this game. People really just needed an experience that would be simple, and unfortunately, Treyarch overestimated how how invested people were with the mode following Black Ops 3. But there were a couple people saying that it was a good looking map, and I mean honestly people were just worried more about the gameplay more than anything. The map finally released a couple days later though, and the reaction was not too bad actually from the overall community. I saw this comment from Human that said it was his favorite map in the game, and another one from this deleted comment that agreed with this sentiment even though he had only played a couple of games. And I mean even in the review posted by Mr. Raffle Waffles, he said that
the ancient evil is a breath of fresh air.
The community seemed to be really pleased with this map, but the problem was that at this point, the community who were there at launch majorly had kind of just left the game. People were just uploading less and less zombies content over the life cycle of the game, and it had been clear that the popularity for the mode was going down rapidly, and with it, the funding for the mode. The funding that was required for awesome cutscenes like the ones we saw in Blood of the Dead and all the Chaos maps simply was reduced significantly, and as you will see, this was a problem coming very soon. And that very soon would be with Alpha Omega, the fabled return of the Aether crew that people had been waiting for since the release of the game and its trailer. And of course, since this was the return of the Aether cast, there actually was a small hype revitalization that was built up for this map. I saw loads of people in the trailer comments saying how hyped they were for the map. It seemed that people were in the belief that this map would be the savior of this game, and well, that may or may not have been how it went. I saw comments like this one from Arrow that said they liked it because it finally felt like classic zombies once again after receiving everything with chaos throughout the DLC cycle. He was not the only one saying this though. I saw a lot of people saying that it was an amazing map and felt straightforward like it used to be with older experiences, and I think that is what developers were trying to accomplish, so they succeeded in that regard. The biggest problem I found people had with this map though was that, just like Blood of the Dead and Classified previously, it was yet another remake of a map we had already seen in Nuketown Zombies, which was something that was trashed extensively in comment sections that I saw. People seemed to generally like it, but it left a bad aftertaste after the nostalgia wore off because of the reuse of map assets and a generally uninteresting catalog of new additions. But the final map for the game would save zombies, the Great War map people had been waiting for ever since Revelations, and oh boy, this is definitely not the Great War map we were hoping for. For the final map in this game, it was expected that the story would end on this huge grandiose setting with epic battles and giant wars and whatnot, but what the community ended up getting was just a Call of the Dead remake, which was a little disappointing to a good majority of the community. I think a little disappointing is kind of an understatement. There were a lot of people just slamming this in the trailer for the map. Numerous people were bringing up the Great War map and just saying how they were overall disappointed with this announcement. And well, when this map released, the best way I can possibly describe it, taking the words from a Tim Hansen review of the map, was bittersweet. Yes, people were getting extremely emotional throughout the Easter egg. People such as JC Backfire cried for several minutes on stream even before he got to the final cutscene, and you could tell this map meant a lot to people. But besides that, people really just wanted an ending that actually felt like it was deserved, not returning to the Call of the Dead location to replay a map they had played 8 years ago at this point, and the community felt kind of cheated in a sense. There were a lot of people saying how they felt that Treyarch should have just waited for the next game to end the story. Black Ops 4 Zombies thus ended on a bittersweet note, one that was nice to let the characters go in a way that felt conclusive, but on a map that people never truly asked for. But guys, that is all I have got. I told you guys that this would be the longest video in the series so far. There is genuinely just so much to look at with this game because of how much content and how much developer interaction there was, and the true potential of the mode. I have been personally looking forward to covering this game ever since I started this series, and you guys have been absolutely amazing, and I just wanted to say thank you. But with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.